students, today I am Suman. Today I will teach you force, which is class 8 physics section, and the relation is force and pressure. Actually here there are two topics, one is force and one pressure. But first here we will study about force. What is force? So before starting these chapters, we will study these objectives in this segment. It is force, force due to interaction, kinds of force, unit of force, balanced and unbalanced force, resultant force, and effects of force. These objectives we will study in this segment, force. As you know that whatever we want to do, like pushing a table, pulling a chair, pushing a windows, pushing a car, anything, we need to force, then we can do any kinds of work. Actually force is related to work, whatever we do due to force. So force is an important physical quantity which help us to do the work. Here we will understand what is force. Actually force is a kind of a physical quantity which help us to do everything, whatever we do due to force. And we can simply say anything which will what will we push or pull is known as force. But if we go in detail, we will learn what is force. So in detail, force is a physical quantity and which can change to the object which is rest to motion, change the shape and size of the object, change the direction of the object. So these are the works of the force. So in definition, we can say force is a physical quantity which help us to change the direction of the object, change the state of rest to motion, change the shape and size of the object. And suppose that the bowler throw a ball, batsman hits in other directions. This means due to the force, batsman can hit the ball in other direction. Suppose that we will take a balloon, a flat balloons. If we will squeeze it, we will see their shape will change. So how the shape of the balloon change? This is due to the force. If we want to push a car, when the car is at rest and if we apply a force on it, we will see the car is start moving. So why car starts moving? This is due to force. If you are riding a bicycle and the bicycle is in motion, if you want to come to rest, the bicycle wants to come to rest. So we will apply the brakes. Brakes is a kind of force, and this force is stop the moving object. Here the other topic, other segment, in this segment, force due to interaction. Actually force is depend on two factors. One on which it applied and other who applies the force. There are the two conditions. Interaction means suppose that if we want a lift, a bag, heavy bag. So here bag and we suppose that this is a bag and if you want to lift it. So in this case we apply a force on it and thus this object bags we apply force on this bag. So there are two interactions on which the applied force depend for any object. And this interaction are two types. So we can say the kinds of force are two types. One is contact force and other non-contact force. And these kinds of force due to interaction. Contact force means kinds of force. There are two kinds of force. It is one kind contact force and other non-contact force. These are the two kinds of force. Contact force means whatever we want to do due to the physical contact. Suppose that if we want to lift a bag here, without physical contact we cannot carry this bag. So where our efforts applied direct or we can say physically, that force is known as the contact force. Lifting a bag, pushing a car, pulling a windows, pulling a table, lifting a school bags. So these are the kicking a football, hitting a ball. So these are the examples of contact force, because without contact we cannot change their shape, size, direction of the object. Second is non-contact force. This is a kind of force when one object apply to another without any direct contact. Suppose that we'll take a magnet and we'll put some pieces of iron nails, which is a magnetic substance. So magnet will attract these pieces of iron nail without any contact. So in this case the force is known as non-contact force, because there are no contact between magnet and the pieces of iron nails. Here to draw, this is a magnet. As you know that magnet has two poles, north pole and south pole, and here we'll put some pieces of nail. You will see the nail is attracted by the magnet without any contact. So in this case, this kinds of force is non-contact force. Here contact force have different parts. So we will study in kinds of force. Contact force, we will study the different parts of contact or non-contact force. Here the contact force. It is the contact force is frictional force. What is frictional force? Frictional force is a kind of contact force. Frictional force, the force applied between two objects when both the objects are directly contact to each other. Suppose that this is the wheel of a car and car is moving. As we apply a force, the car just starts moving. If we leave pushing, then car will stop after some time. This means there is a force between the wheel of the car and the surface. So these kinds of force which exert between two surface, which is the wheel and the surface of the earth or ground of the earth. So these kinds of force is frictional force. And second force is muscular force, which is also a kind of contact force. Second force is muscular force. This force is also a kind of contact force. So we can say that there are two kinds of contact force. One is frictional force and other is muscular force. What is muscular force? Whatever we do, the force whatever applied on the object by us, or the force which is applied by the humans or animals on any object, this kinds of force is muscular force. For bullock cart, when we ride a bicycle, we applied a force on pedal by our feet. So these kinds of force is muscular force, and muscular force is also a kind of contact force. So there are two kinds of contact force, which is frictional force and muscular force. Now we will discuss non-contact force. Non-contact force. What is non-contact force? As we have been discussed about this non-contact force, when the force exerted between two objects which is not in direct contact, this force is known as non-contact force. And there are three kinds of non-contact force. One is the magnetic force, second is electrostatic force, and third is gravitational force. So first here we will study about magnetic force. What is magnetic force? The force which is exerted by a magnet on any magnetic substance. As I told at the beginning, if you put some pieces of iron nail in front of a magnet, the magnet will attract these pieces of iron nails. So the force whatever generate here between magnet and the pieces of iron nail is magnetic force. So we can say that the force which is exerted by a magnet on a magnetic substance is known as magnetic force. Second is electrostatic force. Electrostatic force is also a kind of non-contact force. What is electrostatic force? When we'll take a comb, and when the comb will rub with our dry hair, and if we'll put some pieces of paper, you will see that if the comb will bring near the pieces of paper, the paper was attracted by the comb. What does it mean? It means the force is generated on the comb and the pieces of paper attracted by comb. So here there is no physical contact between pieces of paper and comb. So this kinds of force is non-contact force. If you rub an ebonite rod with fur and we will put some pieces of paper also there, we will see that the pieces of paper attracted by that ebonite rod. What does it mean? It means the force generated on the ebonite rod. And here ebonite rod comb behaves like a magnet and pieces of paper behaves like a magnetic substance. But as we'll bring the ebonite rod or comb near to the pieces of paper, we will see that there is no physical contact, but the paper attracted towards the comb or the ebonite rod. So this kinds of force is electrostatic force. Now the gravitational force. Gravitational force means anything possesses mass. This force is due to mass. Suppose that if you take any substance or a stone, if you leave from a height, where it will go? It will go towards the earth. Why the substance fall towards the earth? So earth also behaves like a magnet, and earth has a magnetic force. But earth have also kind of force, and this is gravitational force. Gravitational force means the force which is generated by the earth, and this force is due to the gravity of the earth. Anything, any object which possesses mass, and when this object will leave from a certain height, it will fall towards the earth. So this kinds of force is known as gravitational force. So here we have been learned already the non-contact force. Three kinds of non-contact force. It is magnetic force, electrostatic force, and gravitational force. And all three force applied one object over other without any contact. Now, we will study about the unit of force. Anything, any physical quantity have their own unit. We measure the mass in kilogram. We measure length in meter, we measure time in second, we measure speed in meter per second. So here the force is also quantity, and it has physical quantity, and it has also a unit. So now we will study the unit of force. Here, what is the unit of force? Unit, when we say about unit, it means SI unit. SI unit of force. And what is the SI unit of force? It is Newton. And its symbol is N, capital N. So Newton is the SI unit of force. Here we'll also discuss on what factor the force depends. Factors of force. Actually, force is depend on two factors. One is mass and other is acceleration. So we can say force equal to mass into acceleration. Or F is the symbol of force. So F equal to m into A, where m is a symbol of mass and A is the symbol of acceleration. These are as the mass and the acceleration. Mass, as you know, the mass, all the matter consists mass. Mass means the total quantity of a matter. And acceleration. Acceleration means at which rate the velocity of the object increase. Whatever the velocity of the object increase in unit interval of time, that is acceleration. Suppose that an object is moving 5 meters per second. It means the object covers a distance 5 meters in 1 second. Next second, the objects cover a distance 10 meters. How much distance increase in next second? The distance increased by the object is 5 meters. So here the acceleration of the object is 5 meters per second square, because the object increases their velocity with 5 meters. So the force is depend on two factors, which is mass and acceleration, and both mass and acceleration are directly proportional. In these two quantity, if any quantity will increase, the force will also increase. Now, we are discussing about the unit of force. The unit means SI unit. SI means System of International. All over the world, Newton is the unit of force. There are some other unit of force, and it is kilogram and other unit. Other unit is kilogram force. We denote kgf. Gram force means gf. and third is dyne. Dyne is CGS unit. CGS unit of force is dyne. CGS unit before SI unit, there are so many kinds of unit in the world. It was CGS unit, FPS unit, and KS unit. SI and these units are for particular countries, not for all over the world. But in 1960, all the scientists of the world, we should measure all the physical quantity in same kinds of unit for all over the world. So they given a unit and this unit is SI unit. So other unit of the force is kilogram force, gram force, and dyne. Dyne is CGS unit of force. Here we will see the relation between Newton and dyne. So here we will see the different kinds of unit of force, and next class we will see the relation between Newton means SI unit of force and CGS unit of force dyne. So we will see the relation and the rest objectives of this chapter, of this topic force, we will see on the next class. Thank you.